No, I didn't cut myself. That's wax. Today, we are going to try something new. We're going to try making pourable silicone from 2, maybe 3 ingredients. Naphta and all-purpose silicone. This is Silicone 1. And I like this GE brand. It comes from Walmart. It's about $5 a tube. And we may throw in some cornstarch to thicken it up. I think it will help it dry quicker. But anyway, I'm going to be making a mold of Mr. Buddha here. Rub his belly for good luck. Don't rub anything else but his belly. And I'm just going to glue him to the top, cut the bottom of the can off and put it on top of him. Make a mold that way. Fill it with wax so we can pour investment in it. Alright. So let me heat up the hot glue gun and we're going to get started. Got a bowl and a spoon. Should have everything we need to get going. Just give me a few minutes to set up and we'll be right back. Alright, we're back. We got Mr. Buddha glued to the lid in the can. And a little bigger than what I wanted. I think a Pringles can would have probably worked just fine. But we're gonna give this a try. As you know, I've made molds out of silicone and cornstarch.
Yes.
And this is one of the cornstarch molds here that I make, and it's of a specific ring that I'm working on right now. And I just got this mandrel. It's smooth, so from now on when I make a mold, it'll be on this mandrel. I just slide that down over there, put a couple of rubber bands around it, inject wax into it, and I get a ring mold out of it. So yeah, so I'm going to use kind of the same process that I used to make this. That's why I said I was going to try some cornstarch, but the Naphta makes it, this stuff here will make it more pourable than the other stuff. The other stuff, it was kind of tolerable. You know, it was a little loose, a little, you know, more cornstarch you put in it, the thicker it was. So if I need to thicken it up, I'll put cornstarch in it. Naphta stinks. But yeah, you generally want to put about half and half Naphta to silicone. So we'll just pour in what I think I need. I'm not gonna go crazy with it because I might not need that much, and like I said, I'm new to this, so alright, I'm gonna mix this in. I'm just gonna squeeze a whole bunch of it in there. Make a mold out of it. That's a pretty good bit right there. Let's see what we get with that. Ugh. You have to mix it slow until it dissolves. So I might just mix this and fast forward it. Try a little bit of this. Now the cornstarch is my idea. I've never seen anybody mix all three of these together. It could have exploded just now as far as I know, but I'm lucky, I guess. I'm hoping it'll help it sit quicker. Just getting the air out of the mold. Now hopefully that'll set up a lot quicker, because by not putting the cornstarch in there, I know you have to let it sit overnight. And sometimes a little longer, depending on how much Naphta you put in there compared to silicone. And everybody knows silicone usually cures in about, well, not cures, but sits up to touch in 2 or 3 hours. I have not really read the back of that, but it takes 24 to 48 hours, sometimes a week to cure, depending on how thick you put it on. So hopefully this will cure up quick. This, when I made this, I could cut it off the mandrel in 15 minutes, and it was almost completely hard. Let it sit overnight so it could endure the heat of the wax. The wax is probably about 300 degrees when I inject it in here. But yeah, it sets up really quick with the cornstarch, and as you can see, it's really thick right now. It's barely moving. So we're gonna let that sit for an hour or so and come back and check it. I got the stuff in the bowl here we can use for reference, so I don't have to mess with that. And silicone will bond to silicone unless you put something in the middle. So if I wanted to add more to that, I could just mix up a little bit more and put it in there on top of that, and it would set up and stick to that. So we'll let that set up and see how that does, and hopefully we'll have a mold. And if this works out well, I might use the same mix to do a glove mold. I mean, it's pretty thick, so it should stick without running off. It already looks like it's curing on that little dollop right there. I don't know if you can see that. It already looks like it's curing. So we're going to let that cure. And what you see me doing with the brush there, I was brushing it onto the Buddha so that I would get in all the nooks and crannies to avoid air bubbles. That's a little trick you can do, is just like mop it real good with the silicone beforehand, and when you pour it in, if you do have any bubbles in your casting, hopefully they won't be on your model. So let's give that about a half hour and see how that works out. Okay, it's been about an hour or so, and this is the glob that was on the table. It's still very rubbery, but it's pretty cured. Of course, it's red from the wax, but wow, stuck to the table. Yeah, I'd say it's set up pretty good. That's probably one of the benefits to the cornstarch, but I don't know. I've never used it before, the process. So I don't know if just Naphta and silicone will cure like this or not, but everything I've seen, it has to sit overnight, and when it has to sit overnight, it sometimes doesn't cure all the way. I guess it depends on how much Naphta you put in it, but there's my model right there, and the top is pretty rubbery. It's still mushy, as you can see. It does bounce back, so I believe if I let this set overnight, it will be ready to demold. So I'm going to let this set overnight, and we'll demold it in the morning. And I need to change my battery, so I'm gonna end this now. Y'all have a good night. Good morning, guys. It's the next day. I went ahead and popped the bottom off of it. I got up this morning and took a look at it, and as you see, we got some shrinkage. Wasn't really expecting that, but there you go. It's pulling away from the model as well. I don't know if that's a product of using the Naphta or using the cornstarch, but there you go. I think I might need to pull this thing out of this can to see what we got going on here. Let's see. I think it's on there. I'm gonna have to give this a try with just Naphta and see how that turns out, because I want to use this stuff as a glove mold as well. If it's gonna shrink, I'm gonna have to be careful that when I use it, that it doesn't pull off my model. Give me a lot of distortion, you know. Maybe a few thin coats first and then a thicker coat or two. I still smell that Naphta. I think it's the Naphta because the Naphta's still venting off of it. And it feels like it's still curing. I can feel it on the inside. It's kind of mushy. There's the model. There's the mold. Whew. I think I'm gonna let that cure a little while longer before I attempt to use it. So, but yeah, it turned out nice and smooth on the inside. It didn't do any damage to the model. So I think that's a good idea. We'll let that cure. Then I'll come back and put some wax in and see how it turns out. I just wanted to make an observation while we're waiting for the mold to degas and cure up. Is this normal silicone, wow, when you mix it with cornstarch and just silicone, like when I make these type molds for the mandrel, you can hear that's pretty hard stuff. This will just slide off the mandrel. Now, this is a stainless steel spoon, and normally when I mix stuff up with stainless steel, it just peeled right off. But as you can see right now, I am catching hell getting this off of here. So I think the Naphta makes it adhere better. Maybe that's a good thing. You can make some glue out of it. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, that's sticking really good to that spoon. In the bowl, you know, normally when I mix it up, it just peels right off. This stuff is not peeling right off. You got to scrape it off. See what I'm saying? And that Naphta too. If you're gonna do this stuff, guys, do it outside, because this stuff stinks. I don't think it's necessarily the Naphta as much as it is the silicone. Whew, that silicone has that ammonia smell to it. That Naphta really releases that smell, so probably a good idea to do this outside. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna be able to clean this out to reuse it. It's only a Dollar Tree bowl. You get 2 for $1 at the Dollar Tree, but still, yeah, it ain't coming out. I'll clean this off one way or another, because I need this spoon, but it'd be easier to clean in this bowl. But yeah, be careful what you mix in if you want to keep it, if you do this stuff. See? It don't come off easy. Oh, look at there. Broke my nail. Alright. I went ahead, I got impatient. It'd probably take a week for this thing to completely gas off. I want to see what it looks like, so I poured some wax in it. And it cured it. I mean, the wax did just fine. Let's see if I can get it out without breaking it. Oh, it slid right out. I'm surprised. That's pretty good. Now, I have to say, the wax is a little tacky, and I think that's because of the Naphta. So we're gonna let that sit and see if it'll cure up. I'm gonna end up putting a sprue on it to make a mold out of it anyway. Probably wouldn't do that if it was resin, maybe. I don't know. It might interact with the resin, but that's a pretty thick piece of silicone. And to be honest with you, it feels a bit. When you squeeze it, it feels like the inside's still wet. I don't know if that's true or not. I accidentally cut it there. But it's pretty spongy. Yeah, it's really spongy compared to this. This is hard as a damn rock. But this, see? It bounces, but this bounces better. But anyway, you see where the Naphta pulled the color out of the wax. So I'm thinking the Naphta's interacting with the silicone, because it's not completely cured up yet. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to let this completely cure before I make a model out of it that I can depend on. I mean, this looks good. You can see the features on his face. It's supposed to be a lucky Buddha. He has a little ball there. Supposed to bring you good luck. And this one here is supposed to give you good fortune in all things. He's holding a bowl over his head. I'm not sure why he would give you good fortune in all things. I think somebody just come up with that. But other than being a little tacky on the back, that seems pretty good. Like I said, I think the Naphta interacted with the wax, because I don't get that. You see here, it's a little red on the inside, but I don't get that. That must be some kind of interaction. But on that note, you guys have seen me make it, pour it, and cast it. If you guys enjoyed the video, how about leave a like? And if you really enjoyed the video, subscribe and share. Y'all have a wonderful day.